Andre Williams, 28, had carved out a place for himself. Tall, sharply dressed, and soft-spoken, Andre was known around the office as a rising star in financial consulting. A man of order and precision, he calculated risk like second nature, whether in the stock market or in his personal life. But beneath the calm surface lay a quiet hunger for recognition, for power, and for the kind of love that turned heads. That love arrived in the form of Shanice Reed, 26. A former pageant queen turned beauty influencer, Shanice had the kind of smile that stopped conversations and a voice that was equal parts honey and fire. With over 200,000 followers on Instagram, she was known for her makeup tutorials, travel vlogs, and unapologetically bold takes on relationships and success. They met at a charity gala hosted by a mutual friend. Andre was drawn to her confidence, Shanice to his mystery. Their connection was instant and electric. Within weeks, they were inseparable. Shanice documented their courtship with carefully curated posts. Beachfront dinners, his and hers vacations, luxury shopping trips. To her fans, they were Jamaica's power couple in the making. But not everyone was convinced. "He's too quiet," one of Shanice's friends confided in a vlog comment section. "Like he's always calculating. Man like that, trust me, he hiding something," another chimed in. Still, for most people watching, it looked like a fairy tale unfolding in real time. Andre proposed just a year after they met. On a yacht off the coast of Negril, the sun setting behind them, a drone capturing the moment as he dropped to one knee. She said yes. The post went viral. But the closer the wedding came, the more the cracks began to show. Behind closed doors, their arguments became more frequent. Shanice accused Andre of being cold, of hiding his phone, of shutting down emotionally. Andre complained about her obsession with social media, how every moment had to be staged for the camera. "You care more about likes than about me," he once snapped. "And you care more about your damn secrets than this relationship," she shot back. Still, they moved forward. In early March, the wedding went ahead at a 5-star resort in Montego Bay. The guest list was packed with influencers, politicians, and local celebrities. The ceremony was flawless. Shanice glowed in a custom mermaid gown, and Andre looked regal in an ivory tuxedo. Their kiss was immortalized in every Jamaican lifestyle blog by morning. The Newlyweds posted the final clip of their wedding night on TikTok. Champagne glasses clinking, her head on his shoulder, the caption reading, "From now till forever." But behind her smile, Shanice's mind was already racing. Because that night, after the guests had gone and the music had faded, she'd seen something she wasn't supposed to see. A message pop up on Andre's smartwatch while he was in the shower. From a woman named Sierra. It read, "She looks beautiful. Almost a shame." And so, 2 days later, when Andre surprised her with a last-minute honeymoon trip to the Bahamas, Shanice smiled and accepted. But in her suitcase, along with her new bikinis and Gucci sandals, she packed something else. Doubt, and a plan to find out the truth. What neither of them knew was that they wouldn't both return. The island of Eleuthera in the Bahamas was nothing short of a dream. Turquoise waters lapped at untouched shores, pink sand beaches stretched for miles, and palm trees danced softly in the breeze. This was the postcard image of paradise. But for Shanice, it looked more like a stage, one too perfect, too quiet, too curated. Known for its exclusivity and celebrity clientele, it was the kind of place influencers begged to be invited to. Their private villa came with a plunge pool, direct beach access, and champagne on arrival. Shanice smiled and filmed it all. But the doubts packed in her suitcase back in Kingston had not been left at customs. "I wanted us to have time away from everything," Andre told her in the shuttle from the airport, holding her hand just a bit too tightly. "Just you and me. No phones. No interruptions." No phones? Shanice kept her poker face but clutched her designer bag, where her backup phone and a slim Bluetooth tracker were hidden. If Andre thought this was going to be a digital detox, he was wrong. From the outside, the first few days looked like paradise. They dined under the stars, snorkeled in the sapphire waters, and got matching bamboo massages. Shanice posted carefully edited videos of their adventures with captions like, "Still glowing," Still his wife ring son? Waterwave hashtag honeymoon vibes. Her followers flooded the comments with praise. But each photo hid a small lie. A tense moment before the smile. A suspicious glance caught mid-video. And a growing silence that stretched longer each day. On the third night, things shifted. They had just returned from a sunset dinner when Andre's phone rang. He stepped onto the balcony to answer it, speaking in hushed tones. Shanice, already suspicious, edged closer and caught snippets. No, not yet. Stop calling me here. I told you I'll handle it. Her stomach turned. She waited for him to come inside and confront her. He didn't. He simply laid beside her, scrolling through his phone like nothing had happened. She watched him until she fell asleep with a question burning in her brain. Who was he talking to? The next morning, she woke up to an empty bed. Andre had left a note scribbled on hotel stationery. Gone for a walk. Don't wait up. Love you. Strange. They had planned to go kayaking together that morning. She checked his suitcase. His wallet and passport were still there, but his phone was gone. Hours passed. At 10 a.m., she asked the front desk if they had seen him leave. A staff member said he'd seen Andre walking toward the far end of the beach near the cliffs. Alone, carrying a small black duffel bag. Odd for a simple walk. Shanice's nerves were unraveling. She texted him twice. No reply. Called. Straight to voicemail. By 2 p.m., she was pacing their villa barefoot, furious and terrified. This wasn't like him. Andre was calculated, always in control. Disappearing without explanation wasn't in his nature. When he finally returned at sunset, he was disheveled. His shirt was stained with dirt. His hands were scratched. His smartwatch was gone. What happened to you? Shanice demanded. He shrugged. Got lost on a trail. Phone died. I'm fine. She stared at him. He avoided her eyes. Then she noticed something. A thin, fresh tattoo on his inner bicep, just beneath the rolled-up sleeve. Still red. Still healing. A symbol she didn't recognize. 2 interlocked snakes. He hadn't had that before they arrived. She pointed. What is that? He looked down, smirked. Something I always wanted. Impulsive honeymoon decision. She didn't believe him. That night she didn't sleep. She laid awake, staring at the ceiling fan, mind racing. Her heart thudded in her chest with the growing realization that something was horribly wrong. The man beside her wasn't the Andre she knew. He was hiding something, maybe someone. And if her instincts were right, the honeymoon wasn't a romantic escape. It was a setup. The following day, the air in the villa was thick with unease. Shanice barely spoke. She watched Andre from behind her oversized sunglasses at breakfast, observing his every move. The way he looked over his shoulder before sipping his coffee, how he kept glancing at his wrist only to remember the smartwatch was gone. He seemed restless, jumpy. At around noon, they headed to the beach bar for drinks. The resort was unusually quiet. Just a handful of guests lounging under umbrellas and a local musician playing soft reggae covers near the water. The bartender, a tall Bahamian man with a deep scar across his jawline, greeted them with a smile. Rum punch? You look like you need something strong, he said to Shanice. She managed a polite nod, but her eyes were already scanning the crowd. Something in her gut told her Andre wasn't alone in this story. Then she saw her. A woman, sitting 3 tables down, her face partially obscured by a large sun hat and dark shades. Her bleached dreadlocks were unmistakable. Her posture was too stiff, too alert for someone supposedly enjoying paradise. She wasn't reading, wasn't sipping a drink. She was watching. Shanice's breath hitched. The woman turned ever so slightly and locked eyes with her for half a second before shifting her gaze away, cool and calculated. Andre followed Shanice's line of sight and immediately tensed. You okay? He asked quickly. Do you know her? Shanice asked. Andre's lips twitched. No. Why? She narrowed her eyes. Because she's staring like she does. She's just another tourist, babe. Don't start imagining things. But Shanice was already on alert. Her instincts rarely failed her. She took a subtle photo of the woman under the table and sent it to her backup phone, just in case. As they walked back toward their villa, Shanice pretended to forget her sunglasses on the bar counter and doubled back alone. She found the bartender wiping glasses. "Hey," she said quietly. "That woman who was sitting near us. Who is she?" The bartender glanced around cautiously. "She been coming around for 3 days now. Don't drink, don't swim. Always alone." Shanice frowned. "Local?" The man shook his head. "No, miss. Jamaican. I hear her accent when she order tea. I thought maybe she with you people." Shanice's blood ran cold. "Why?" The bartender leaned in slightly. "Last night, she asked me what villa number y'all were staying in. Said she was your cousin. I told her I didn't know." Shanice's mouth went dry. "Be careful," the man added. "I've seen that look in someone's eyes before. She not here for vacation." When Shanice returned to the villa, Andre was already in the shower. She locked the door behind her, pulled out her hidden phone, and checked the photo she'd taken. She zoomed in. The woman's sunglasses reflected the beach, nothing suspicious. But her face, her jawline, her cheekbones, it was familiar. Shanice's heart stopped. Sierra, not from real life, from Andre's past. A woman whose name came up once during an argument back in Kingston. A mistake from years ago. A woman he claimed had moved abroad and was out of the picture. But here she was, watching them from the edge of paradise. Suddenly everything made sense. The secret phone calls, the tattoo, the unexplained walks, the missing smartwatch, and something else, the life insurance policy. Just 2 weeks before the wedding, Andre had convinced Shanice to sign a joint life insurance agreement. "Just in case," he'd said, flashing that calm smile. It had felt strange at the time, but she was swept up in wedding planning and had let it go. Now it all felt like a setup. She was trapped on an island with a man who might be plotting her death. And his accomplice might be just a few steps away, hiding in plain sight. That night, the waves whispered to the shore beneath a sky littered with stars. Shanice sat alone on the patio, a half-empty glass of coconut rum in her hand and thoughts racing through her mind like a storm surge. Andre was inside, acting as though everything was fine, watching TV, scrolling on his phone, laughing at videos. She wasn't laughing. She was unraveling every piece of the puzzle. Sierra was here. Andre lied. And someone was going to die. Shanice's hands trembled as she lit a cigarette. Something she hadn't done in months. She hated smoking. But right now, she needed something to distract her from the growing dread. If she confronted him, would he become violent? If she ran, would Sierra follow? A noise broke her thoughts. Andre stepped out onto the patio, wearing nothing but swim trunks. He leaned against the railing and took in the night. "You all right?" "I'm fine," she lied. He stared at her. "You've been weird all day." "So have you." Andre tilted his head slightly. "You think I don't notice? You've been watching me like I'm some stranger." "Maybe you are," she snapped before she could stop herself. The tension cracked like thunder. "What's that supposed to mean?" he asked, voice calm but hard. Shanice stood up, her eyes ablaze. "You disappear for hours. You're lying about who you're meeting. You come back with scratches on your arms and a tattoo out of nowhere. And don't even get me started on your damn smartwatch." Andre's expression turned dark. "You're acting paranoid," he said flatly. "I saw her," Shanice shot back. "The woman at the bar. Jamaican accent. Don't lie to me, Andre. I know who she is. Sierra." Andre's silence was louder than any scream. His jaw clenched. He looked out at the sea, then back at her. "You're drunk," he muttered. "No, I'm not. I'm finally seeing you clearly," she spat. "Tell me something. Why the sudden honeymoon? Why here? Why now?" Andre took a step closer. "You're being dramatic." "No, I'm being smart. I want to know what's going on. Tell me, Andre, is she here to kill me? Or are you planning to do it yourself?" He blinked. A flash of something, rage, panic, guilt, crossed his face. Then, unexpectedly, he laughed. A low, cold laugh that sent chills up her spine. You always were too clever for your own good, he said. The blood drained from Shanice's face. So it's true, she whispered. Andre didn't answer. Instead, he reached for her drink and took a long sip. What's done is done, he said calmly. But don't make this harder than it has to be. Shanice stared at him in disbelief. This wasn't her husband. This wasn't the man who cried during their wedding vows. This was a stranger. A snake hiding in a lover's skin. Go to hell, she said, stepping back into the villa and slamming the glass door shut behind her. She locked it. For the next hour, she paced the bedroom, heart pounding. She thought about calling the police. But what would she say? My husband brought me to the Bahamas to kill me? With no concrete proof, no recording, she'd sound delusional. So she did what she knew best. She turned on her camera. At 12:43 a.m., Shanice sat on the edge of the bed, opened the front-facing camera on her backup phone, and hit record. If anything happens to me, it was Andre, my husband. He's not who he says he is. And he's not alone. There's a woman here, Sierra. I don't know what they're planning. But if I disappear, if I die, know that it wasn't an accident. She paused, tears slipping down her cheeks. I loved him. God help me, I did. But love doesn't cover up murder. She hit stop, saved it, backed it up to the cloud, sent it to her best friend back in Kingston. Then she deleted all traces from her phone. Outside, she could hear Andre talking to someone on the phone. His voice was low, urgent. He was pacing back and forth near the patio, the sea winds masking his words. At 2:11 a.m., he finally came inside. She pretended to be asleep, but her hand was clenched tight under the pillow, gripping the long metal comb she'd hidden in the lining of her suitcase. If he came near her again, she was ready to fight, because this wasn't a honeymoon anymore. It was a trap, and she wasn't going down without a struggle. By morning, the sun rose innocently over the island, casting a golden hue over the calm waters. Birds chirped softly, unaware of the tension suffocating the villa at Coral Sands Resort. Shanice woke to an empty bed again. The pillow next to her still held the faint warmth of Andre's body, but he was gone. His clothes were missing from the armchair where he had tossed them the night before, and his sneakers, wet from the beach, were no longer by the door. She sat up slowly, every bone in her body tensed. Her first thought was to check her phone. No messages, no calls, but her video was still in the cloud. Safe. The front desk hadn't called. The hotel staff hadn't come. No one else seemed to notice anything unusual. She stood and walked cautiously toward the patio. The balcony door was unlocked, and there were fresh footprints in the sand below. Andre's size, heading toward the rocky part of the beach where most tourists didn't go. Locals said the currents there were dangerous. A few swimmers had drowned in that spot in recent years. Something pulled at Shanice, a quiet, instinctual urge to follow. She slipped into a pair of sandals and grabbed her backup phone, tucking it into the lining of her bikini top. She avoided the main walkway and took the narrow back trail leading through the palm trees down to the less traveled stretch of beach. The sand was still cool from the night air. The farther she walked, the quieter it got. And then she saw it. Footprints. 2 sets. One clearly Andre's. She knew his stride, his weight. But the second set was smaller, lighter, and barefoot. Sierra. A little farther, the prints stopped at the edge of a large, jagged rock formation. There, carved hastily into the sand with a stick or finger, were words that stopped Shanice cold. Forgive me, but I can't let you have him. Underneath it, a single gold earring. Her earring. The one from the wedding set. Shanice's hand flew to her ear. One was missing. Panic set in. Had Sierra been inside the villa while she slept? Had Andre helped her? Suddenly, she heard rustling behind the rocks. Shanice ducked low, heart hammering in her ears. 2 voices, Andre's low and urgent, Sierra's high and angry, arguing, too far away to hear the words but close enough to feel the danger. She reached for her phone and began recording, crawling to get a better angle. Through a gap in the rocks, she saw them. Andre stood with his back to the ocean, hands raised in frustration. Sierra, wearing a black swimsuit and oversized t-shirt, had something clutched in her hand. It glinted, metallic, sharp. A knife. Shanice's breath caught. Sierra lunged. Andre sidestepped, catching her wrist and shoving her back. She screamed, swinging again. He pushed her down hard. She fell on the rocks, shrieking in pain. He looked around in panic, then grabbed the knife. For a moment, Shanice thought he was going to stab her, but instead he tossed it into the ocean. Sierra cried out in rage. "You said you loved me. You said we'd do it together." Andre was panting, staring at the waves. "It's done. I'm not killing her. You hear me? I changed my mind." Sierra snarled, standing up. "You coward. You used me. You wanted her gone more than I did." They were unraveling. Shanice backed away slowly, her phone still recording, her mind racing. She had everything. Their plan, the weapon, the confession, the motive. She turned to run, but her foot slipped on the wet sand, and she hit the ground with a muffled yelp. The voices stopped. Footsteps approached. Shanice scrambled up and ran, faster than she ever had before, pushing through bushes, ignoring branches scraping her arms. She burst back onto the main beach, crying, shaking, and covered in sand. She ran to the front desk and screamed, "Call the police! My husband tried to kill me." By the time the resort security team arrived at the front desk, Shanice was a trembling wreck, her knees scraped, her bikini damp with seawater and sweat, and her voice strained from yelling. The concierge looked stunned, unsure whether to comfort her or call for help. That decision was made for them when Shanice slammed her phone on the counter. "Watch the video," she cried. "He planned to kill me." They both did. Security officers took her to a private room, where she replayed the footage she'd captured. Andre and Sierra arguing by the rocks, the knife glinting in Sierra's hand, and Andre admitting, "It's done. I'm not killing her. I changed my mind." It was enough to trigger alarm bells. Within 30 minutes, Bahamas Royal Police Force officers arrived at the resort. They were calm, professional, and skeptical at first. Domestic disputes were common. But once they saw the footage, the mood shifted. A full search of the beach area began. Officers hiked the trail Shanice had used, scouring the rocks for any signs of a struggle or the discarded knife. Divers were sent into the water near the cliff's edge. Sierra, however, was nowhere to be found, and neither was Andre. When the officers asked Shanice when she last saw him, she could only stammer, 15 minutes ago. He was still on the beach arguing with her. But now, he had vanished. His phone was off. The staff checked security footage from around the resort. At 2:43 p.m., Andre was seen leaving the private beach path alone. He had a towel over his shoulder and a black gym bag in hand. At 2:56 p.m., a marina staffer reported a man matching his description renting a speedboat. Said he looked shaken. Said he needed to get some air. That was the last anyone saw of him. Back at the villa, police searched their belongings. In Andre's suitcase, they found clothing, toiletries, and a small waterproof case containing $4,500 in crisp bills, a Jamaican passport, a prepaid international SIM card, a Bahamian burner phone, and 2 rings, their wedding bands. Shanice collapsed into tears. He had planned everything. Not just a honeymoon, an escape. But then came the second shock. At 5:17 p.m., as officers were finishing the villa search, the call came in. A tourist walking along the rocky path near the cliffs had found blood. A lot of it, smeared on a flat rock just above the tide line. Beside it, a torn piece of black fabric, the exact material from Sierra's oversized shirt. There were also drag marks leading toward the water. Divers went back in. An hour later, they found Sierra's body. She had a gaping wound on the back of her head, consistent with blunt force trauma. No knife was found nearby, and no defensive wounds were present. Time of death, less than 3 hours earlier. Shanice sat in stunned silence when they told her. Sierra was dead. Andre was missing. And now, she was no longer just the victim in a murder plot. She was the last person known to see both alive. Night fell heavy over Harbor Island. What was once a postcard-perfect paradise had become the epicenter of an unfolding nightmare. Tourists who had come for serenity were now nervously whispering about the Jamaican couple and the body found on the beach. Police had set up a makeshift investigation post at the resort. Yellow caution tape fluttered in the ocean breeze around the cliffside. Flashlights cut across the dark sand as officers combed the shore for any sign of Andre Williams, the husband-turned-suspect who had vanished just hours earlier. Inside a secured conference room of the resort, Shanice sat wrapped in a hotel blanket. Her hair was tangled. Her skin still bore scratches from her sprint through the woods. Shanice clutched a warm cup of ginger tea, her hands trembling. But her mind was on the image of Sierra, lifeless, pulled from the water. Despite everything, she hadn't wanted her dead. Sierra had been a scorned woman, a co-conspirator, now just another casualty in a twisted betrayal. Inspector Marvin Rawl entered with news. "We found more," he said. The duffel bag Andre carried was found near Sierra's body. Inside, a crowbar, gloves, and a second, unregistered phone. On it, a text. "It has to look like an accident. Don't leave a mess. I'll meet you at the marina." Was that from Sierra? Shanice asked. "Or someone using her phone?" Rawl replied grimly. Then came the next blow. CCTV footage from a boat fueling station. Andre, alone, 3:12 p.m., minutes after Sierra's death. He didn't just rent a boat. He bought time, said Rawl. Andre was now on the run, possibly hiding out on one of the Exuma Islands. That night, a second body surfaced. Devon Colley, a missing fisherman. In his pocket, a Coral Sands keycard, a prepaid SIM receipt. Andre had stolen his identity, planned ahead, and likely lured Sierra into faking Shanice's death. But something changed. Violence escalated. Sierra ended up dead. Back at the resort, a new video appeared in Shanice's cloud storage. It showed her sleeping. The timestamp, 4:08 a.m., the morning after their fight. A whisper followed. "You look so peaceful. Too bad it ends here." She dropped the phone, screaming. Police placed her under 24/7 protection. A manhunt spanned the Bahamian Islands. In Jamaica, Andre's apartment revealed fake IDs, a Panama itinerary, photos of Sierra and Shanice, and an insurance policy naming him sole beneficiary of Shanice's life. 3 days later, Andre's rented speedboat was found drifting near Andros Island. Muddy shoes, his tux jacket, and blood were inside. Locals claimed a man with a Jamaican accent had asked for fuel. Andre was still out there. A week later, a tip from Nassau. A hotel worker spotted a man with dreadlocks and a bandaged hand. Police stormed the room. Andre tried to run but was caught. His only words, "She wasn't supposed to live." He was extradited to Jamaica. At trial, Shanice's videos, the burner phone messages, and the insurance policy sealed his fate. He was convicted of conspiracy and manslaughter. Shanice vanished from social media. She moved to Montego Bay under a new name. On Harbor Island, Villa 14 remains empty. The cliffs are fenced off. Tourists still ask. Locals still whisper. The sea still sparkles. But for those who know the truth, it will never look the same again.